What up, nerds? We are back with another exciting episode of Lily's Ranger Talk. I'm Lily with Lily's Ranger World, and today we are doing the Six Rangers! Also, I am fully aware that in the thumbnail that you guys see right here, right now, that the Titanium Ranger is not a Super Sentai 6 Ranger. I know he is the first American-made Power Ranger. I just thought it would be really funny to put him on there. Also, this is the first Super Sentai list that we've done where we will be including Hurricaneger into this mix, because I did finish Hurricaneger last week at the time of recording this, which is on Pi Day, the 14th. Um, yeah, funny story about that. So, you know how the last color rankings video was Blue Rangers? Yeah, that video is technically outdated already because I finished recording that after I finished Hurricaneger. Although, in all fairness, I haven't ranked Nanami yet, so. And I still haven't. Or Kota in the Yellow Rangers. But, if you guys do want to see that updated list, I will be putting it on Lily's Ranger World, my Instagram, at some point. Well, it's Lily's _ Ranger World. So please give me a follow, and it'll be probably in one of those saved stories somewhere. Probably under Super Sentai Ranking 2, SS Ranking 2. But yeah, without further ado, let's move on to the Six Rangers, because this could be another very long video. No honorable mentions for this video because I haven't started a new Super Sentai series yet at the time of recording this, so just no. And also because I don't know enough about Gozu Polar yet, who I believe is going to be the Sixth Ranger for Gozuger. Actually, here's a question of the day. When do you guys think the Sixth Rangers should come in? Because I've noticed in, most seasons in the Reiwa period that they've been coming in very early, and then in previous, eras of the show, they come in around the 20th episode mark, which personally I think is a good place to go. But yeah, let's move on to the actual list. So, you know how I said in the past that every Kia Major except for 2 will be on the bottom? Psych! At number 13 from Magi Ranger, we have Hikaru. Okay. Truth be told, Takemichi was at the bottom of the Sixth Ranger list, and we'll talk about him in a second, because I decided to switch them at the last minute. For the record, I also feel bad that Hikaru's at the bottom. It's not because of what he was. He was a really good Sixth Ranger. Honestly, all of these characters, for the most part, are really good Sixth Rangers. It's just that he's a little on the forgettable side. At least, I think both him and Daggeron from Mystic Force kind of have that forgettable factor, which, don't get me wrong, Daggeron's also really cool. It's just, again, more forgettable. The only things that I remember about Hikaru is I remember his debut episode when Urara had to kiss him because he was a frog. Smokey the cat, I think that was, the Magi Rangers. That was the name of the little cat thing. And then, also, in the Magi Ranger and Deca Ranger movie, he and Tetsu cross-dress, which was a really funny scene. And then in the end of the series, he gets married to Urara. And this might be a very controversial opinion, but with a show like Magi Ranger being focused on family, I don't know if you necessarily needed a Sixth Ranger for um a show like that. But you wanna know what? I'm not saying that Hikaru doesn't deserve to be there. It's just, again, I don't know if you necessarily needed it. I'm glad we do have him though, don't get me wrong. But yeah, just I don't remember much about him compared to, well, we'll get to him next. At number 12, from Kyuumeijin, we have Takemichi. So I actually did start recording this, and when I was recording this, I said that number 13 was Takemichi, and then I really thought about it, and I've been thinking a lot about Takemichi these past couple days. I've been thinking a lot about Kyuumeijin, and while Senna's the only one of the main Kyuumeijins I liked, I think just looking at some scenes and just remembering stuff about Takemichi, he was a little, like, annoying at first, but I think he had some really good moments, and I also like his relationship with, um, Mabushina, and also, I can't remember his name, but the pen pineapple apple pen guy, because I believe they're actually brothers, because he's human, but he was also raised in Crystallia, which I believe is the name of the world. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of, like, reflecting over that, um, and look, the other four key majors I'm not really crazy about. I've talked about it already. Well, at least I've talked about three of them. But yeah, the more like I think about Takemichi and like episodes he had, like the marshmallow episode with his lover, and he definitely had a lot of story, and also he is his own sword, which is really really cool. Yeah, just the more I think about him as a character, the more like I realize I liked him more than I claim to. Is he still my favorite Six Ranger? Obviously not, because he's at number 13 or no 12. I can't do numbers today. But like I can't deny that he's a bad ranger, and I mean while the person above him is probably a little more forgettable, you'll see why he's above um Takemichi. But anyways, let's move on. At number 11, from Kyuranger, we have Tsurugi. Cue the game show music! Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary pals, you think the Six Rangers are safe from this show? Wrong! It's time for our favorite game show. Is it Kyuranger bias? So, the answer to this question is a Kyuranger bias. It's Kyuranger bias in the sense of he's higher than Takemichi, because in my opinion, Tsurugi, I don't know, I just don't remember much about him. I know he was the president of like the intergalactic like space thingy, and then I think he created Raptor, or knows who the creator of Raptor is, or made plans for someone similar to Raptor. But other than that, like I really don't remember diddly squat about him. Um, and honestly, that's probably because of how quickly all the Rangers came in, because we have two extra Rangers in the show, the Commander and then Kataro, and just how quickly they came in, and then we just get another one. Maybe that's partially why. Um, like, I don't even think he was a bad character. The things I just remember about him was, like, he was a little annoying at first. Then, that being said, I do like the moment, I don't remember which episode this was, where he does Colette the Chance, and he has this like really frilly piece on. Stinger's joining him for some reason. It was such a random and funny moment, and I really liked that moment. So, but other than that, like I just don't remember much about him. So in the terms of Takemichi, me remembering more about him than Tsurugi, yes, it's Kyuranger bias, because how dare I put Kyuranger under Kyuumeijin? But in terms of the whole list itself, it's definitely not Kyuranger bias, because if it was, I would definitely have put him way higher. But then again, I am planning on rewatching Kyuranger at some point this year, because I do want to go back and visit it. So maybe I'll rearrange the list. Moving right along to the top 10 now. At number 10, from Hurricaneger, we have Shirikanger. Okay, I'm just gonna say this now, right? Just now, before I recorded this section. I recorded a section of me singing the Hurricaneger theme song. I'm obsessed with that theme song. Anyways, what I loved about Shirikanger is just how crazy he is. Um, there's just some random moments that I love. I love when he does randomly speak English, similar to Jiraiya, although personally, I found it more funny when Jiraiya did it than Shirikanger. I don't know why. I just did. I love his suit. I love his baseball motif. I love his mecha. There's just so much I loved about him. His mysteriousness. But he eventually, learns to trust the Hurricanegers and the Go-Riders. Just, it was so great. And also, something that I didn't realize until I watched the review of Hurricaneger after I finished the series, except with the exception of one actor who I clearly knew was Kenji Oba because I'm a Super Sentai fan, but clearly I'm not that big of a Super Sentai fan because I didn't recognize anyone else. And for the record, everyone else is obviously from Super Sentai seasons before any that I watch. So it's not that I should have known what they looked like, but there were some that I should have known. Like, a Dairanger actor was in there, and I should have known that only because, again, I've watched a little bit of Dairanger. Not even that, but also when I was younger, I used to listen to the Dairanger theme song like all the time. So like it should have been like in my brain at least a little bit. Also, Doman from Time Ranger was one of the like human disguises, and I should have known that because, well, again, I'm never gonna watch Time Ranger fully. I do. I did watch a few episodes, and I'm pretty sure I watched the focus episode on him. So, yeah, that's kind of embarrassing. But I recognize Kenji Oba, so do I get some brownie points? But yeah, it was a really, really fun character, really great story. I will say I was not that emotional when he died. Spoiler alert. I don't know why, but I just wasn't. Um, although rest in peace to Shirikenja's actor, who did pass away unfortunately. That sucks. But yeah, I do really like Shirikenja. Um, I might like him slightly more than Cam, but only slightly. At number 9, from Dome Brother, we have Jiro. So right before the segment, I just had to do a little refresher on Jiro. Not because I didn't remember him because he wasn't like rememberable. It's because my brain is bad. Anyways, Jiro. So Jiro is a lot like Taro in the sense of origins. Like they both came from Peach, and they were both destined to be warriors. But the key difference is like their personality. Where Taro's more monotone out of suit, or at least that's what I think, for the most part. Um, we have Jiro over here who is, well, and when I say Jiro, I mean like before the merge. And before we knew about Dangerous Jiro, he was kind of just happy to be there. He had like a happy-go-lucky attitude, was very positive. But he had a really interesting story with the fact that his original personality was Dangerous Zero and he wanted to overtake Taro. It was very interesting to see. Um, and like the dual personality kind of made it kind of cool to see, like, oh, which Jiro are we gonna get? I think the most interesting thing about Jiro's hometown is the fact that it was the place where the Judo Forest was, and the policeman was his father, and everyone else was fake. Like, there was no other people. They were the only two humans in town. And that was interesting to find out. I personally did not see that coming. That was kind of a huge shock. And when I will admit that I did find Jiro a little annoying at first, particularly like his, happy-go-lucky self. I think he gets better throughout time. I do think Dangerous Jiro was more interesting as a character. But when they merged, they were pretty good. At number 8, from Lupat, we have Noel. Another one I had to just look up real quick. I'm not gonna go through his whole story, but at first when I was like watching Lupat, I didn't even realize there would be a Sixth Ranger, um, because I didn't think. I mean, there were already six Rangers for starters, so technically he is the seventh. So I forget that this is not audio and video, so when I pause, when I'm making a face, I forget that you guys can't see it. But what I'm saying is he's technically not the Sixth Ranger, he's the Seventh Ranger, but technically he is the Sixth Ranger because Lupin Ranger, and Pata Ranger are separate teams now. Well, I mean, they were always separate teams, but okay, my brain's broken. He's a Sixth Ranger. But what I find interesting about Noel is, I mean, besides the obvious that he has both connections to the Lupin Rangers and the Pata Rangers, being the adopted son of Arsene, I believe is his name. I just looked this up. I shouldn't be questioning myself. And also being a member of the GSPO, but the French division because he's French. Ooh la la. Um, but his story, it really. I remember being very upset about that. Um, like crying because I felt terrible for him because they could have made because earlier on I didn't really like Noel that much in terms of like I didn't get why he was there because I mean I didn't feel like we needed someone to be the in between, if you know what I mean. I feel like it was fine to have no like person to connect them. Plus they eventually came together like on their own. They are friends, like the Lupin Rangers and the Pata Rangers, technically speaking. But I mean, they're also enemies. Frenemies? But yeah, I do like him. I like his personality. Um, if I like in the opening how they have like because he gets introduced, but they're like Lupin, Patton, who are you? Like, or no, it was like cop or thief or something along those lines. Because it is interesting that because he's on both sides, but it's kind of weird because you know I'm just rambling on at this point. Let's move on. At number 7, from Boom Ranger, we have Sekito. Immediately, the one thing I liked the most about Sekito is compared to most of the six Rangers, specifically in the Rewa period, I don't know about Ryusoul Gold. He came relatively late ish. He debuted in episode 16. And compared to most other, like, again, Six Rangers in the Rewa period, I'm even thinking of the one in our who is right above him, Um, he came relatively late, which is great because personally, I feel like you need at least 15 to 20 episodes with just the main like core team in order to like get to know them, see how the team dynamic goes. Um, before you add in another person who can shake things up. And even though like he debuted in episode 16, he didn't technically join the team until I don't even know when, like officially, probably somewhere between what did my notes say? Um all I have is he fought for the enemies in episode 18, so I'm assuming like around like the late ep- episode 20, I don't know. Um and I liked him. He brought chaos. At least that's what he says. I like how he's speedy. I like his hair. His hair is cool. I like the little like purple he has in his hair. Um, let's see what else. I thought he did have a connection with the Hashalians, but he does not. At least I don't think he does. He learns that he's better with a team, which again, that progression is really nice because he didn't really trust Ty at first, but then he kind of learned to trust him and the team. I wouldn't say he is like necessarily loyal or that loyal. But yeah, the only complaint I have about Seki though is I wish he got more. He didn't really have a lot. Like when I'm thinking about it, he didn't have a lot compared to everyone else. And I have said before, on my Instagram and I think even on here, that when it came to Boom Ranger, I felt like that was the most balanced in terms of episode focuses. At least with the core five, I don't think Sakito got enough, and I wish he did. But otherwise, he's a really good character, and I like him. It's just I couldn't put him above the other six people. At number six, from Zenkaiger, we have Zox. So where Sakito comes in the latest in the Reiwa period, at least as of now, I don't know when Gozu Polar will be debuting. Um, Zox, I don't even think they got to double digit episodes when he came in. I believe we were on episode, like, I think it was episode 8 or 9 where Zox comes in. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Yo-ho-hoy, 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 hoy. I mean, once you hear that, you know you're in for a good time. I think Zox, next to Kaito, the best character in Zenkaiger. I love him. He's probably my favorite next to, again, Kaito and Majin. Well, actually, that's a lie. Flint tops all of them, which is probably one of the main reasons why he's this high up on the list. And also, he represents Gokaiger, and he's a pirate, so pirate characters automatically get into, a very high spot. And for the longest time, he was in the top 5. Because I loved his charisma and charm. And obviously, at first, he didn't necessarily and he technically never did join the Zenkaiser. Kaiser was always his own thing. But, like, he also did join, like, the team, and they would do stuff. Um, but yeah, his family's been great. I love Flint with all my heart. Flint's probably one of my favorite side characters in all Super Sentai. Um, I love the story with Katana and Ricky, how they were turned into these like robots sort of things. But I think at the end of the series they changed back. But they can go back to like the robot form whenever. And it's also that was also a cool way to incorporate other seasons of Sentai since that was an anniversary season. I honestly thought it was those seasons were a weird choice, or not a weird choice. Um, At least not one of them. I and don't come at me. I do not remember which one represents which. I believe Ricky represented Shinkenger, and that made sense that Shinkenger was represented because Shinkenger is another really popular season. I guess where I was confused is Katana represented Ohranger. I believe that was the one, and I don't know. I just didn't see why. I know Ohranger isn't as well received as Shinkenger. I would have gone with something else, even if it was something else from the 90s, like Kaku Ranger or Car Ranger or Dai Ranger. Literally, I can think of several 90s shows. I don't know. It's not, I If I wrote the show, I would have picked a different 90s show, especially after watching two of them. And potentially, I think Dai Ranger is going to be next on my watch list. Anyways, I'm going off topic of Zox. Zox had some really great moments. Especially one of the ones that is sticking out to me is when they traveled back into time, or it was like an old fashioned world thing, and he tried to, henshin into Kaiser, and he did his whole like little dance thingy, not realizing that he couldn't morph, and he just kept going for the longest time until he realized he couldn't morph. And everyone was just staring at him like, bro does not notice. But yeah, he was very funny. I love that we got to see him in action also with the Gokaigers, specifically Marvelous and Guy, and I am. I just watched that recently actually, because that was one where Flint was got to use two Kaiser too, and I thought it was I don't know if Mandela effect is the right word for this, but I could have sworn she was silver in that, but it was actually she was gold. And she was silver in one of the live shows. But anyways, overall, I do really like Zox, and I love his family. That's why they're up there this high. They're just great characters. Definitely made Zenkaiger a better show to watch. Especially with the circumstances of Zenkaiger being, with all the Kikais, he made it worth watching. We are here at the top 5. At number 5, from Goseiger, we have Gosei Knight. Everybody forgets Goseiger, but nobody forgets Gosei Knight. At least that's how I feel. And honestly, you could say the exact same thing about Megaforce. Nobody remembers Megaforce except for it being not that great, but everybody remembers Robo Knight. What I found really interesting about Gosei Knight is he does care about the planet, but only the planet. He doesn't really care about humans, and he even thought of them as separate at first, but the more he spends time with the Goseigers, and even their allies, because I think the little kid, I think his name was like Nozomu or something like that. Nozomu? I don't remember. The more that they interact, the more he sees, like, oh, we have very similar goals. And then he learns that he's actually evil, and he gets returned evil by one of the bad guys. But I'll have to save him. Woohoo! But yeah, he's a very interesting character. I liked him. I think a lot of people like Gosei Knight. And in turn, a lot of people like Robo Knight from Megaforce, whose story I believe is very similar, if not the same. Again, I haven't watched. I deleted that thing where I said I haven't watched Megaforce in like 12 years, and I don't even think I really fully watched it. Anyways, one of my favorite moments actually from Goseiger with Gosei Knight specifically is Agri was like training for this race sort of thing, and Gosei Knight in his like header form just chased him down. I was like, run, go faster. or I will trample you over. He didn't probably say that, but like it was still very funny. That was a really great moment. Honestly, the only like core thing that I can remember from Ghost Ager on my own, because I of course I had to look it up again, because again, it's not because the character is bad, it's because my memory is bad. In all fairness, I have watched Ghost Ager like 3 years ago, so at this point too, man, 3 years ago. I'm getting old. Anyways, let's move on to number 4. At number 4, from King Oger, we have Jeremy. It's no secret that I really love King Ogers, and I really love the Kings, and their personalities are great, and I love them so much. And honestly, I didn't know how I was going to feel about the Sixth Ranger of this season, but I really like him. I really like Jeremy. I think he's for starters, there was a video I saw on TikTok where they referred to him as English teacher, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, he's an English teacher. I was shocked to even figure out that he was the narrator at the beginning of each like episode. I did not see that coming. I thought that was cool. I also thought his story was really interesting. How he was both human and Buganark. I think it is how you say it. It was a very interesting like way to connect those two, especially since the Buganarks were not actually. I mean, they were, but they also weren't like villains. Um, although I can't actually. Was it his mom who was a Buganark, or was it his dad, or both? Cause I thought he was half human. I don't remember, cause he had a connection to like the final Buganark villain, but I can't remember. Like, I knew it was familial, but I don't know like when, what specifically. I'm losing it. But yeah, it's always about the subcontext. The subcontext. The context. Everything. And he, like I said, it's very interesting to see how he interacts with the humans and the Buganarks. Even where am I? What was I trying to say? I don't know what I was trying to say. I love his retainer. I love his retainer, but I love all the retainers in King Oger, so that's not a surprise. I love his morpher. It, and I liked how he was a spider, because spiders, even though they're terrifying, can also be cool. What else do I have to say about Jeremy? He's just a really great character. I think he helps balance out the conflict between the, the King Ogers, because, he's kind of, I wouldn't say friends with all of them, but like, he's kind of like a peacemaker in some sort of way. But yeah, let's move on. At number 3, from Gokaiger, we have Guy. Just like when I put Joe at number 3 on the Blue Ranger list, I feel like the Super Sentai Angry Mob will be coming after me for putting Guy at number 3. I just would like to state the obvious here. We separate the character from the actor here, because I know Guy's actor is not that great of a person. But Guy's a really great character, and I love him, so let's continue. For starters, it will never not be funny where Guy just yells at the Gokaijus because they have no idea what they're doing, and they keep Gokai changing into the wrong team. It's so funny how he just freaks out. I'm like, no, not O-Ranger, I mean Shinkenger. No, not Shinkenger, I mean O-Ranger. I don't remember. I know it was between O-Ranger and Shinkenger. I don't remember where the confusion was for them. I think it was from O-Ranger to Shinkenger. And I mean, that's what a lot of us like about Guy is pretty much the super fans. If we ever had the opportunity to become, a Super Sentai Ranger, I know for a fact that I would be just freaking out at any given moment when anything happens. If I ever see like a previous Sentai actor, I would probably gush. I would be the same way with Power Rangers. If I met Kevin Kleinberg, aka Trip from Power Rangers Time Force, expect me to not be okay for like 20 years. But anyways, other than that, like Guy is really just energetic. Again, is a great balancer of, the friendly people with, friendly people as in like not you know what I mean, like Dawn and I am, who are like, you know, good people question mark. Not they're not Luca, Joe, and Marvelous. It's I guess the best way I can say that. Uh, which speaking of which, I love Guy and Dawn's relationship. They're kind of like brotherly and it's really, really nice to see. And again, I believe he also has a relationship with I am. I know I talked about it with Dawn, that one episode where they fought, but then they all just collapsed in I am's arms, which is like one of my favorite still moments from Super Sentai. But yeah, overall, just Guy's a great character. Oh, I forgot about something else I wanted to mention. I love how he just during the Two Kaiser and Go Kaiser movie, he just dresses up as Luca and like impersonates her, and he does so well. Like for a hot second, like when his back was turned, I just say, I legit thought, wait, did they get Luca in this movie too? And I was like so excited because, as everybody knows by now, Luca's like one of my favorite characters in Super Sentai. And then you just turn around and it's Guy, and I'm like, wait, but you kind of were convincing. But anyways, let's move on to the last two. At number two, from Zyuohger, we have Misao, or as Yamato calls him, Mick-chan. Finally, I get to talk about him! Okay, so recently I watched the Tokucast. Again, this is a rather old video. Um, the Tokucast's ranking of Six Rangers. And I knew there were going to be some different opinions than them because they've watched more Super Sentai with Six Rangers than I guess I did. Well, that's not even true. Because I did watch a lot of Super Sentai with Six Rangers, but again, since the video is old, like I want to say about 8 years old, like obviously they didn't talk about Six Rangers from seasons that I've watched. Anyways, Misao was number one on that list, and I was so happy. Like, I was so excited because I was like, finally somebody sees Mick-chan the way I see him. He's one of my favorite characters in Super Sentai, and my favorite character in Zyuohger next to the love of my life, Sayla, because he's me. He has PTSD, man, because similar to Burai and a bunch of other Six Rangers, now that I think about it, he starts off as evil. Um, and he was powerful too, because he was not just one color. He's not two colors. He's three colors, technically. Although I always classify him as strictly a Black Ranger. At least when I did rankings of other colors like gold and silver, I only consider him as a Black Ranger because he's mainly a Black Ranger. Anyways, he gets so depressed, like, to the point where, like, even in Zenkaiger, one of, like, the after effects of Zox using his power is he bows his head in shame, the same exact way that Misao does, and it's so, so funny. I mean, it's not... okay, depression, seriously, is not funny, but, like, in this case, it's kind of funny. And also, as someone who, is diagnosed with depression and anxiety, like, I just really relate to this character. And it's also just really great to see, like, his character progression throughout Zyuohger, because he was, I think, at first very, like, anxious around the Zoomins for obvious reasons, because unfortunately, those bad guys, um, they killed, like, a rhino, a crocodile, and a wolf just so they could use, his powers, or just so they can get those powers. I can't speak today. Anyways, so, he was so anxious and he was so nervous around them because they were also talking to him, those three aforementioned animals, and, like, torturing him in some sort of way. But then, near the end of the series, he is so comfortable around them. They consider them friends. Um, During the presentation, the three of them gave, like, a final farewell to him, and he smiles, and he's just, I'm so, like, I love him. I just love him. You cannot love him. If you don't love him, I don't know if you're human. Um, and I was really, really happy that he came back for the Kyuranger and Lupat movie. I really wish that, for starters, I wish we got a Kyuranger and Zyuohger crossover. I don't know why we didn't. That would have been really cool to see. Um, Again, I don't know why we didn't. But it was great that he came back for that. Um, I just, what do I, like, he was number one in my heart for the longest time, and then someone else came along. And at number one, to the surprise of probably nobody, from ToQger, we have the one, the only, Akira. So here's the thing about ToQger, and I talked about this before. When it came to ToQgers, with the five of them, I really didn't think they needed a sixth ranger. Like, I was not looking forward to Akira's appearance because I thought, with the story, with the way it was, how could they have added a sixth ranger? Would they go the route, oh, this is a friend that we had that we don't even remember? But I am so glad they didn't. Not only did they not do that, but that they did Akira so good. Oh my god, I love that man so much. I've talked about. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this on the show before. That Akira is just amazing, awesome. Like, I love him so much. All he wants to do is protect the rainbows, man. Because he started out, again, similar to literally every other Sixth Ranger. I swear to. What's with this trope of Sixth Rangers starting out as villains? But actually, he is kind of different because, yes, he is a villain. But he was a villain. He reformed, but he is so, like, guilty about hurting all those people. He's like, so this is my place to die. And one time he just goes, my place to die. That got loud. I'm sorry. Um, I could see the little, like, if headphone users beware. Anyways, I'm sorry. You can tell I'm just really passionate about Akira. Um, like, whenever they play his harmonica, I'm like, that's you, man. That's all you. And he eventually, like, he has so much character growth. Again, with his interactions with the ToQgers. I just love him so much. Give that man a kitty, because that was one of my favorite episodes where he was just laughing uncontrollably because he has a kitten, and then he was smiling because he was happy because he had a kitten. Oh, I just love Akira. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I'm sorry that it's probably over an hour long. I can't tell because, again, I'm going by bars. I'll figure this out post while I'm editing. And also, I'm sorry this took so long to get out. Um, Within the last couple weeks, I've just been really busy, and ADHD brain goes brr. But also, I just have a lot of changes in my life going on right now. Um, I have a nephew coming at the time of this recording, which I recorded on March 31st. At least the second half from Jiro on is March 31st. Um, he's probably going to be here by the time I upload this video. Um, but yeah, again, I'm sorry about the delay. I will try and be better with um, previous future videos. But thank you guys for being patient. I love you guys so much. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram, Lilies_Ranger_World, for more of my nonsense and for updates on episodes when I get them done and stuff. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!